There are performances that entertain. And then there are performances that remind you why you are alive. What happened on the America's Got Talent stage when the Birmingham Youth and Young Adult Fellowship Choir walked out was the second kind. They were not polished pop stars. They were not celebrity names. They were young people, some teenagers, some barely old enough to understand what a dream is, who had driven from Birmingham, Alabama, carrying with them 10 years of music, community, and something the world desperately needed more of. They called it joy. And they were about to give it to the hardest room in show business. The Birmingham Youth and Young Adult Fellowship Choir was founded in 2015, almost by accident. What started as a small back-to-school fundraiser grew, year after year, into something nobody fully planned for. A gathering of young voices from one of America's most historically significant cities, shaped by a director named Ahkeem who had spent his life believing that music could do what words alone could not. Ahkeem was 28 years old. He remembered watching Simon Cowell on American Idol growing up. He remembered the man who did not smile. The judge who did not bend. The voice that told people the truth even when it hurt. For years, Ahkeem had watched Simon and thought, if that man ever says yes to something I do, then I'll know it's real. On the night of their AGT audition, 41 choir members filed onto a stage in Pasadena, California. They had never done anything like this. For many of them, it was the first time they had ever been on national television. The first time they had ever been that far from home. Melby looked at the crowd of them filing out and said, simply, "Oh wow, there's lots." The audience laughed. Simon leaned back. The lights went down. And then the Birmingham Youth Fellowship Choir began to sing. They opened with, "Joyful, joyful, we adore thee," the old hymn that has lived in church walls and Sunday mornings for generations. But before anyone could get comfortable, the song shifted. A young soloist stepped forward. And what poured out of him was a mashup that no one in that auditorium expected, Pharrell's "Joy," unspeakable, woven into the hymn with such seamless, soaring power that the audience was on its feet before they even realized they had stood up. 41 voices. One heart. People in the crowd were crying. Not the polite, dabbing eyes kind of crying, the full, open-faced kind. The kind that happens when something breaks open in your chest that you didn't even know was closed. The judges watched in silence for a moment after the final note fell. Simon Cowell, the man who built a career on finding flaws, the man who had made more people cry with rejection than perhaps any other judge in television history, sat very still. Then he leaned forward. "I could see and hear how much work went into this," he said. His voice was quieter than usual. More careful. "Every single one of you played the perfect part. We had lead vocals, we had emotion." He paused. "I am so honored that you would come here on our 20th anniversary." Another pause. The room held its breath. "And in return, I want to give you something." Simon Cowell pressed the golden buzzer. It was his only one for the entire season. Golden confetti exploded from the ceiling. 41 young people screamed, laughed, wept, grabbed each other. The audience roared. Ahkeem stood in the middle of his choir with tears running down his face, unable to speak. But the moment that no camera fully captured happened backstage. After the confetti had settled, Simon Cowell walked through the curtain to find the choir still gathered together, still trembling from what had just happened. He looked at them, all 41 of them, and said words that Ahkeem would carry for the rest of his life. "This is just the beginning. You're big. Now it's going to get bigger, right? Thank you." That was one of my favorite ever. One of his favorites. Ever. In 20 seasons of America's Got Talent. In a career that has spanned decades and continents and thousands upon thousands of performers. This group of young people from Birmingham, Alabama, who started as a fundraiser, who drove across the country with a dream that felt too big to say out loud, had become Simon Cowell's favorite. In the weeks after their audition aired, the Birmingham Youth Fellowship Choir received hundreds of booking requests from across the country. Young people from Birmingham sent in applications to join. And strangers, people who were sick, people who were struggling, people going through things nobody else knew about, sent them messages saying that when they heard those 41 voices sing, they felt something shift inside them. That song gave me a relief I didn't know I needed, one person wrote. That is what joy can do. Not the surface kind, not the performed, packaged, marketable kind. The real kind. The kind that lives in choir rooms and Sunday mornings and the voices of young people who still believe that what they carry inside them matters. Simon Cowell has pressed a lot of golden buzzers. But when he pressed this one, something in the room changed. And the 41 young people from Birmingham, Alabama, who came to that stage with nothing but their voices and 10 years of love built together, they changed it.